President El-Sisi has been somebody that's been very close to me from the first time I met him. I met during the campaign, and at that point there were two of us, and we both met, and hopefully you liked me a lot more. But it was a very long, it was supposed to be just a quick, brief meeting, and we were with each other for a long period of time. We agree on so many things. I just want to let everybody know, in case there was any doubt, that we are very much behind President El-Sisi. He's done a fantastic job.
So that was former President Donald Trump praising Egypt's leader, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, during a 2017 visit to the White House. Now, more than 7 years later, The Washington Post has new reporting on a previously unknown federal investigation into whether Trump's first presidential campaign illegally accepted money from that same foreign leader. For more, let's bring in one of the authors of that piece, national investigative reporter at The Washington Post, Carol Leonnig. This is an extraordinary story, Carol. What did Donald Trump describing the relationship as very close, potentially $10 million very close. What did your reporting tell you about Egypt's relationship with the Trump campaign?
Well, as Donald Trump reveals in that first meeting he has with a foreign head of state as the president of the United States, he had a private session with El-Sisi on the sidelines of the United Nations. There was no one in the meeting for a portion of the time, and what CIA intelligence discovered and passed on with great concern was that there was an indication from an informant and other streams of intelligence that El-Sisi had basically ordered or instructed some of his aides to get $10 million to Donald Trump's cash-starved campaign. It wasn't clear exactly how this would be accomplished, though there were references to using some of the Egyptian spy network, the government's own spy network, which El-Sisi relied on heavily for his own power and to solidify his power at home and abroad. Then investigators, if you can believe this, obtained a record of a mysterious $10 million withdrawal from an account linked to Egypt's intelligence agency. This cash withdrawal was mysterious because it represented such a large portion of U.S. currency then in the Egyptian banking system. They discovered that that withdrawal was made 5 days before Donald Trump became president. Unfortunately, the Department of Justice was never able to answer the question of whether or not Donald Trump accepted that money. Investigators were blocked by the political appointees at the department in 2019 from obtaining the records they believed would answer that question of whether Trump accepted an illegal campaign contribution or gift from Sisi.
So, Carol, your story has extraordinary reporting of officials working in the Bank of Egypt, stuffing $100 bills into bags. Did you get any closer to understanding where all of those $100 bills actually ended up, or to understanding why the Department of Justice decided that it wasn't going to press ahead with this investigation?
We did better on the second question, I have to say, which was learning that this was one of the most high profile in that it was a major case for the Department of Justice, one of the most closely held and secretive because it was based on classified intelligence, and that it was one of the most contentious inside the department. Jesse Liu, the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia at the time and a Trump appointee, heard out FBI agents and prosecutors who said they needed to get additional bank records of Donald Trump's for 2017 to figure out, did this mysterious cash land anywhere in Donald Trump's accounts? She seemed open to that idea, said she needed to talk to then new Attorney General Bill Barr and brief him on this case, which would be normal. Bill Barr then told Lou she needed to go see the underlying CIA intelligence herself, go to Langley, figure out whether or not this case was warranted. He expressed some concern about some of the FBI agents involved, that they had been on the Mueller probe, and he had some concerns about whether or not they were hell-bent on pursuing Trump's records and if they had justification for getting those additional records. Jessie Liu came back from those meetings and then told prosecutors and agents she was no longer going to authorize that subpoena for Trump's bank records. And the case stalled out, and eventually other U.S. attorneys that took her place both stymied the case and then closed it down.
So, Carol, let's run one more time through that. Bill Barr is appointed Attorney General. And then he learns about this investigation that's going on. The U.S. attorney that you just mentioned has been running the investigation. Bill Barr, apparently, according to your reporting, thinks that some of the agents on the case were Mueller guys and had been on the Mueller investigation. And so he shuts down the investigation at that point? Just shuts it down?
Barr does not shut down the case. Great question, by the way. He doesn't shut it down. He does two things. He inserts himself with Jessie Liu and says, you better look hard at this intelligence. You better look hard at whether or not there is a predicate, like a legal foundation, a justification to get these additional Trump records. The investigators, of course, are kind of gobsmacked by this. This is jaw-dropping intelligence that says El-Sisi wanted to quickly, illegally spirit $10 million to Trump. And now they have a record, which Mueller has obtained from the Bank of Egypt, showing there was a $10 million cash withdrawal. $100 bills shoved into duffel bags and carried out of a bank outside of Cairo 5 days before Donald Trump becomes president. They think, look, this is pretty interesting. This cash withdrawal sure mirrors the intelligence that the CIA flagged us and alerted us to, the jaw-dropping intelligence. And then Barr does a second thing after warning Liu about his concern. She needs to figure out if this is warranted. He meets privately with FBI Director Chris Wray and says, you need to insert some adult supervision in this case. Jessie Liu's not making a firm decision yet on whether or not this case can proceed. I need you, Chris Wray, to get involved with these FBI agents who appear to be hell-bent on getting Trump's records. And we need to figure out whether or not it's justified for them to do it. Do they have the basis for doing that? And he expresses doubts, essentially, that they do.
Terrific new reporting, and it's online this morning for the Washington Post. National investigative reporter at the Post, Carol Leonnig. Carol, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jonathan.